What's going on, guys? Today we are going to be lowering the FRS. So today is the 4th of July, which if you're not from the good old United States of America, 4th of July is Independence Day. It's a holiday. The last thing I want to do today is work on my car, but I'm going to be driving this thing a lot over the next few weeks, and there's some stuff that I have to get done. Otherwise, I'm just going to burn through my tires. So one thing is I want to get it to the ride height that I want, which is a little bit lower. First of all, they're all uneven, so I want to fix that. But the back is about 1/8 of an inch higher than that front right there, and then the other side of the front is 1/4 inch lower than that corner right there. So first we're going to get them all even, then we're going to lower the suspension about 1/2 inch. Nothing crazy, just a little tiny bit lower, just so that my fitment looks a little better. Front's going to get lowered 1/2 inch. The front left is. The back, both sides are going to get lowered 5/8 of an inch, and then that front right is going to get lowered 1/4 inch. And then everything should technically be at the same height. After that point, we're going to go ahead and just use my toe plates to get the toe correct. I do need to take this thing to get in alignment, but I don't really have time, so I'm going to get it as close as I possibly can so that I don't burn through my tires in the meantime. The other thing that I want to do first, though, is these fenders are not rolled. There's a good lip here, and I just want to make sure that these wheels are going to clear without me rolling the fenders. So we're actually going to lift the car up, and I'm going to show you how to take out that coilover. I'm going to put the wheel back on and jack it up and see if it clears.
All the choices you made, did you make them again, 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 again? All the lies that you told, did you believe in them?
Okay, so in order to lower this, what you do is you got to bust this collar loose and then drop down this lower control arm, and then you can just spin the bottom to adjust the height here. I'm going to bust that loose because I'm not going to adjust it just yet, but I want it to be loose before I take it out because I won't be able to bust it loose after I take it out. So get that loose, and then what you do is down here, you undo these three. So you do undo that one, and that one. And this control arm will swing down, and then you can either freely adjust this or undo the bolts up top and pull it out. So I'm actually going to undo the bolts up top first, so that way I can grab it when this swings down and it doesn't fall down because I don't have anybody else to help me with this. But I am going to bust this loose first. So I'm going to loosen this, and then I'm going to show you up top which bolts you have to do or undo to take it out. All right, so we got two 14 mils under here. You can see we got one right there, and you just undo both of those and it will be loose.
All the choices you made, did you make them again, 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 again? All the lies that you told, did you believe in them?
Okay, so under here I'm going to undo these two first. I'm also going to undo the sway bar on this side so that way when I jack it up from this side, the sway bar doesn't interfere. So we're going to disconnect the sway bar over there and over here. We're going to undo this. And then last, I'm going to loosen this bolt, and then I'll pop it out while I'm holding the shock up so it doesn't fall down. Okay, now because there's no shock in here, we can check the wheel clearance. So shock's right there on the ground. Super easy to take that out. I'm going to kind of maybe knock this out of the other side a little bit in case it gets in the way. Maybe not though. I'll just try jacking it up really quick. So we're going to lower this down, put the wheel on, and then jack it up and see if it clears up in the fender well there. Oh, I think we got tons of room. Oh yeah, we got loads of room. It makes my fitment look weak. But I can fit almost the whole tip of my finger in there, just about. So, oh, except for right here. That's pretty close. But I don't think it's ever gonna bottom out like this. So that's good. All right, so I'm gonna try to be a little quick because it's gonna rain here in a minute. But let me show you this really quick. I loosened this beforehand, but if you want to raise your suspension, you can just do this in the car. The front actually, the whole shock spins in place, so you don't have to undo anything. You just have to bust it loose. In the rear, this doesn't actually spin up top, so you have to spin the bottom part, so you have to undo the lower control arm, like I mentioned. But if you want to raise it up 5/8 of an inch, it's not exact. If you put this up 5/8 of an inch, it's not going to put your car exactly 5/8 of an inch, but I think it's going to be close enough. So that's how I'm going to do it. So we're just going to go ahead and turn this. This should be broken loose already. Yeah. Okay. So we want to leave the bottom straight, but we want to spin this top collar. We might need it in the car, but we want to raise this 5/8 of an inch. Yep, that's pretty tight, so we're gonna put it back in the car before we do this.
You make them
Alright, so it turns out I was wrong. The shock does spin in place, so that's actually really awesome. That'll make it easier to do the other side. But I'm going to go ahead and put everything back together on this side so that we can go ahead and work on the other side now. Alright, the left side is done now. We're going to go ahead and do the right side.
all the choices you made, did you make them
All the choices you made, did you make them
Okay, so I found it much easier just to drop the control arm and twist that one up by hand because it's too hard to turn by hand while it's in, and I couldn't get the tool on it to turn the shock easily. There's like not enough room in there, so I just dropped the control arm and twisted up the bottom by hand. That's perfect. Now we're gonna go ahead and drop this down, put the jack under it to put load under it, line those bolt holes up, and then tighten everything down. Now I don't know if I mentioned it, I did do it on the left side, but when you're tightening down these control arms because of the hard rubber bushings, you want to make sure that there's load on the bottom of it so that the bushings are sitting where they're supposed to be at ride height and not tweaked at all when they're tightened down. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so the rear is done now. We're gonna go ahead and do the front. Technically it should be easier because there's not gonna be anything in the way, hopefully, of the adjustment, but we'll see. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the wheel off first.
did you make them
Okay, so the weird thing about these fronts is that they have this double collar right here. I have no clue why. This probably doesn't even need to be on here. If I wanted to go lower, I would take it off, but I don't want to go too much lower. This is close to a 1/2 inch right here, so I'm just gonna max it out, and we'll go from there. Sadly, this bottom collar is seized. As you can tell, I'm beating the shit out of it, and it's not budging. So I don't know how to get these unstuck. The person who sold me these actually lied. He said none of them were seized, but this one obviously is, and I think the other front one was too. So I'm not entirely sure how to get seized coilovers unstuck. I'm just gonna kind of spray them with WD-40 and let it sit for a while, and then come back to it. But I don't know if you can like torch coilovers or not. I don't think you can. This collar being all chewed up isn't a big deal because if I can get it unstuck, I can just take this off and I can just use this collar right here because there doesn't need to be two collars anyway. What's up, dudes? I am back and I am going to fix my stuck coilovers. So I'm buying vinegar to unseize the coilovers. Got the Civic here. And I live near the water. We have these things called mayflies. We call them fish flies around here, but they are so nasty. They'll like completely cover your car. Like if you look up there, That's all of them. It's nuts. Alright guys, I soaked the coilovers in vinegar for about 18 hours now with no luck. They're not even close to busting loose. In fact, I'm kind of bending the bottom part, so I might have trouble even getting it back on the car. I'm gonna have to bend them back before I go to put it back on the car, but I think I'm gonna end up having to cut the bottom parts off without trying to damage the shock and replace just the bottom part. I found out that BC sells them, they're 50 bucks a piece. If I do happen to damage the shock, I can buy shock 2. Everything else is good on there. I got all of the collars broken loose, so the only thing that's stuck is that bottom part. So I can buy a new shock and bottom part, and we would be good to go. That'll cost me about $300 for all together for both sides, which really sucks because that's kind of about how much I paid for these coilovers. So make sure if you're buying coilovers off somebody, they're not seized, and if the person says they're not seized, like the person who sold me these, make sure you can actually see them move. Otherwise, don't even buy them. It's not worth it. We're gonna go ahead and try this stuff called Evaporust. It's right here. It's pretty expensive. This thing was like $25. I could have probably gotten penetrating oil, like a gallon of penetrating oil for almost this much, but I already have a gallon of this stuff and I need 2 gallons of it. So that's better than buying 2 gallons of penetrating oil and soaking it in that. I mean, that might work, but that's going to be super messy. I don't even know how I would dispose of it. This stuff's reusable, so when you're done, you just pour it right back in here. We're going to put the coilovers in this orange bucket and fill it up with this stuff. Alright, there it is. Up to the bottom spanners there. That's, you know, the main part that needs to be unstuck. So I really hope this works. If this doesn't work, then like I said, I'm going to have to buy just the bottom parts. And then if I damage the actual shock body, cutting the bottom part off, then, oh, also I do need bottom collars because those are pretty chewed up now, but just the bottom parts and the bottom collars. And then if I do damage the shock, taking it off, I can buy new shocks. The shocks are, actually, I believe, yeah, the shocks are $100 a piece. So it'd be $200 plus the lowers, which are $50 a piece, would be $300 plus tax and shipping and stuff, probably $350. Yeah, which is about how much I paid for all 4 of these coilovers. So I believe brand new they are $1,000, so I guess I'm still not that far off, except I could have paid $1,000 and had non-rusty springs and stuff. But these aren't blown or anything. They ride great. They're just completely seized. So we'll let this sit. This is the stuff that I'm using if you want to see. It's non-toxic, biodegradable, reusable. So you can just like it, you know, make bolts not rusty and stuff. My dad swears by this stuff, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so you can see this one's a little bit different right now. We got some stuff floating in there, so that's pretty cool. If you actually look at the collar that's submerged, if I pull it up out of the water, it's like insanely clean. So it's looking good. Same with this one, super clean on that bottom collar. It's definitely looking good, but we'll see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and try to bust these loose. Okay, so here we're doing what you're not supposed to do. That one's done. We got that one broken loose. It worked. This is the next day. It soaked another day. Now we're heating this up. Come on. Okay, so a sad story. We heated it until we were pretty uncomfortable with the amount of heat that was on there. Obviously, you saw we had the pipe wrench on there and the sleever bar on the other side. I was standing on the pipe wrench. My dad was jumping on the sleever bar, and it will not break loose. This is after 1 day of soaking it in vinegar and 2 days of soaking it in the Evaporust. So it's not going anywhere. It's you can see it's pretty stuck. We got these collars all chewed up now. So I believe I'm gonna be buying kind of replacement stuff for all this. So I gotta buy this bottom piece and I'm gonna cut it off and try not to damage the shock. If I damage the shock, then I'll have to buy the shock too. The bottom piece is 50 bucks, the shock is 100. So not too bad considering we got the other side unstuck and we got the backs are good still. So yeah, we're probably gonna replace these collars, and the collars on the other one are pretty chewed up. But I could probably still get away with using these. Like they're chewed up on the outside from the vise, but the tool would still work on them. So maybe I won't replace them. We'll see. Maybe I will replace them because I don't like how chewed up they are. And then when I get back, maybe I'll throw these in that Evaporust, get all the rust off of these springs, and then repaint them. Maybe not though. But for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and put this all back together. Okay, so I got the coilover back in. I got the coilover back in now. It's all chewed up, but we're gonna order that new bottom piece and some new collars, and that should be good to go. But we're just gonna leave it in there for now. And I do have new end links that I'm gonna go ahead and put in because I had to take the old ones out. They were seized inside the old suspension. So got new ones here. We're gonna go ahead and install these. What's up, guys? I'm finishing up my coilovers today. I'm leaving for Virginia. I'm driving at like midnight through the night, so gotta get my car done. God knows I can't take the Civic because that probably won't make it there and back, and it's burning tons of oil. We're gonna go ahead. Oh, Jesus. We're gonna go ahead and get this finished. As you can see, I got this side done, and this whole thing just looks like trash. These are all chewed up now. That's all rusty still. Here's my new tie rod end. I feel like this is sitting in a weird spot. It's like so close to the lower control arm. I can't really remember it. I knew it was close before, but I don't remember it being that close. So maybe I do need like a shortened one of these. Let me know if that's like a thing for these cars, because I feel like it's not. But, well, I mean, I'm sure that they make them, but I don't know where this normally sits. I feel like it sits further down more, but I'm really not sure. So maybe I need an extended one of these, or maybe I need a shortened one. If you know, let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the other side. The issue with the other side is that this is pinched from me hitting it, so I gotta bend it back so that it fits around this, just like I had to for this side. Shouldn't be too difficult though. All right, so we got this one all cleaned up now. I took the collars off, at least the bottom ones. The top ones that hold the spring on are broken loose, but I'm gonna leave them on. I do wanna kinda anti-seize this whole thing eventually, but I don't want to disassemble this thing completely. I got to get on the road today, so I'm just going to anti-seize this bottom part so that that doesn't get stuck again. And then we're probably going to dunk these in that Evapora stuff later, these springs, and then repaint them after. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and anti-seize this thing and put it back together.
You make them
What's up, guys? I just wanted to let you know that I am ordering that part that needs to be replaced on the suspension, and once that's in, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off and put everything together. I'm going to make a video of that, so stay tuned. Next video is actually going to be a Civic video, so if you like that, keep your eye out for that as well. I'm going to start trying to post one video a week again, so make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and thank you for watching. Peace out.